Anyone who's never watched somebody die is suffering from a pretty bad case of virginity. For 12 months, I watched my father dying when I was 10 years old. He'd come back from the war in Spain, you see, and certain God-fearing gentlemen there had made such a mess of him he didn't have long left to live. Everyone knew it. Even I knew it. But you see, I was the only one who cared. His family were embarrassed by the whole thing. Embarrassed and irritated. And as for my mother, well, all she could think about was the fact that she'd managed to ally herself to someone who was always on the wrong side of things. My mother was all for being associated with minorities, provided they were the smart, fashionable ones. All of us waited for him to die. The family sent him a cheque every month and hoped he'd get on with it without too much vulgar fuss. My mother looked after him without complaining, and that was about it. Perhaps she pitied him. I suppose she was capable of that. But I was the only one who cared. Every time I sat on the edge of his bed to listen to him talking or reading to me, I had to fight back my tears. At the end of 12 months, I was a veteran. All that feverish failure of a man had to listen to him was a small, frightened boy. I spent hour upon hour in that tiny room. He'd just talk for hours, pouring out all that was left of his life to one lonely, bewildered little boy who could barely understand half of what he said. All he could feel was the despair and the bitterness. The sweet, sickly smell of a dying man. You see, I learned at an early age what it was to be angry. Angry and helpless. And I can never forget it. I knew more about love, betrayal, and death when I was 10 years old than you will probably know your whole life.